Good evening, seniors and families. It is great to see you here. My name is Beverly Sharp, and I am the principal at Mount Juliet High School. Living the dream, I'm just saying. One thing that I mentioned to the juniors just a few minutes ago is what I realized with my own children, who are now adults, is they had split personalities. They had the personality at school, they had the personality with their friends, and then they had the personality with their families. And I really like seeing them in this element. It's refreshing. We do have a presentation prepared for you. I'm using the term we very loosely. Our counselors have a presentation for you this evening. Before we jump into their presentation, we are going to show you a brief video. Wilson County is pushing for qualified seniors to become registered voters. And so Mr. Seal has a short video to explain that process for our seniors and recruit them to register if they've not already done so. And then after this presentation, the 2-minute video, Ms. Kristen Wall, who is our newest counselor, is going to do the presentation, and I know that you'll enjoy it. There'll be an opportunity there at the end for you to ask questions. Seniors' timeline is everything, and not just the timeline that finishes your senior year, but the timeline that jumpstarts your post-secondary plans. So pay attention, and I think you'll really enjoy the presentation.
Seniors, if you turn 18 by May of 2022, you're going to have an opportunity to register to vote in the cafeteria today. Check it out.
I'm Philip Warren, Administrator of Elections for Wilson County. We want to get you registered to vote in the 2022 elections, and you can do it from your phone. There will be 3 elections in Wilson County next year, but before you can cast your vote, you must be registered. To be eligible to register, you must be a U.S. citizen, be at least 18 years old on or before election day, be a resident of the county, and have not been convicted of a felony or had your rights restored. The easiest and most secure way to register is online. You can do it with your smartphone. Simply follow the instructions that appear at the end of this video. Your teacher also has printed instructions. It will only take a few minutes. One last thing, don't forget to click submit. The Secretary of State Trey Harvey is working with high schools to register at least 85% of eligible seniors. Schools that reach that goal will receive a hand-balanced cutlet. Doesn't help lead state and national efforts in support of giving women the right to vote. I am encouraging every student that's 18 years old or will be 18 by May of 2022 to take a few minutes, go online, and register to vote. If you have any questions about the registration process, call our office at 615-444-0216. I'm Philip Warren, Administrator of Elections for Wilson County, encouraging you to register to vote, be an informed voter, and become an active participant in the future.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out. This is an exciting time of year for our seniors. We have met with them last week, and they received similar information, but we know it's important to share with our parents and families as well. Please note that we are videoing, recording this presentation, and we'll have it posted on our website and Google Classrooms. So know that if you missed something or just want clarification in the future, we will have that for you. Okay, so here's our senior meeting. We have a few things that we want to cover, and then we will offer and entertain questions at the end, so please feel free to ask. First off, we're going to talk about the school counselor that your child is assigned to. We're going to talk about college applications. We're going to talk about testing, specifically ACT and SAT testing. We're going to talk about transcript recommendation letters. We're going to talk about the FAFSA form, our free application for federal student aid, along with scholarships and graduation with distinction and honors categories. So lots of information. Again, this presentation will be available to you again along with the PowerPoint. But first, let's talk about our counselors. We divide, as you probably know, at Mount Juliet High School based on the student's last name as a way to create some consistency. We know that there's been change. This is my first year at Mount Juliet High School. My name is Kristen Wall, and I'll be working with students with the last names A through EM. We have Miss Lisa Whitmire, who's in the back, and she works with students, last names EN through LAU. And then up front, we have Miss Denise Bergen. She works with students LAV through ROC. And then finally, we have Miss Arlene Barlow. She's helping keeping our presentation going on, and she has the end of the alphabet, ROD through Z. So if you have a question specifically throughout the year, our email available on the website, reach out to us, call us, and we'll try to get you your answer or get someone who can help. We also have a graduation coach, Miss Nikki Fosnes. She works with students who may be in need of recovery of credits, making sure those that are struggling, especially their senior year, get what help they need to be successful and graduate on time. So that's our counseling department here at Mount Juliet. All right, first, let's talk about college application. That is something that hopefully seniors have already started to look at and or complete at this time. The state has given us a college application toolkit that is available, and again, all these websites will be available to you, that gives you step-by-step guides on how to apply and complete the applications along with application fee waiver codes. And so if you click on that form, next one. No, you don't need to click, it's already on there. You can just go to the next slide. Sorry. Yes, you can't see it well, but essentially it's a handout that when you click on that website that goes through all the major colleges in Tennessee with when they have their fees, a video on how to fill out the application, very, very useful information. And so this is kind of college application month with a lot of fee waivers. So you want to check this. We shared this with our seniors last week. But again, if there's a chance that there's a school, maybe in the upcoming weeks, that's offering a fee waiver, that can save you some money and also apply. And you can see we go on to the next. It goes on from there. Another exciting thing that we're going to have next week, we started advertising this, hopefully you've gotten some information, is College Application Week. So this starts next Monday, September 27th. In our Mount Juliet High School Library, we are having representatives from area colleges come and visit and sit down with our seniors and help them physically fill out the applications. They can, on their Google Classroom, there's a Google form where there's a schedule. We're having students come in 15-minute increments to sit down with the representatives. They will answer questions. They'll have applications online to help. Some of them will have the fee waivers if that applies to those schools. So far, in terms of next week, we have Vol State, Lipscomb, Tennessee Tech, ETSU, MTSU, Western Kentucky University, and Cumberland ready to come next week and help our seniors fill out those applications. So we want to get people applying, and they'll be in the Mount Juliet High School Library. It is important that your senior get online on that form and schedule. If they're planning to apply to more than one of those, they can schedule throughout the week different appointments to sit down with those college admissions representatives. Okay, let's switch gears and talk about ACT and SAT. All Mount Juliet High School seniors will take the ACT on campus Tuesday, October 5th. That is a free test. We will register the seniors during their focus, but this is one of those free opportunities that all seniors will take the ACT, okay? Don't need to worry about registering for that test on your own. We will do that for you in focus. In addition to the October 5th test, here are the other national ACT test dates. So these are the ones that are given on Saturdays nationwide, and those are the ones that you need to register for separately, act.org. And you can kind of see if you're planning application-wise when, oftentimes the deadlines are about 5 weeks before the test date. So when we're talking about making a senior year timeline, you want to back up and make sure you give yourself enough time to register. So you can see October, December, February, and April are still valid ACT test dates that our seniors could apply for. The other option, and many of you are aware of, is the SAT, okay? So we are actually offering two of the dates for the national SAT on a Saturday here at Mount Juliet High School. That is a testing location. That's on October 2nd and December 4th. There's also a November test date. I know that at Friendship Christian is a test location, so someplace still close. But if that's a good option for you, we know there's slight differences between those two tests. We have students that take both. Some fare better on one than the other, but it's often another option of a college admittance test for you. And those deadlines are usually about a month ahead before the test date. All right, so you've applied, you've taken your test. After you send that application, you need to make sure that you send a transcript to the college or university. And the way that seniors do that, this is very important, is you visit the counseling page on the Mount Juliet High School website. You click on the Current Student Records Request tab, okay? They will not receive those unless we are sent directly from the counseling office at Mount Juliet. So you'll see, this is kind of a screenshot of the website, right halfway down. Once you click, you'll see transcript requests for current students only. You click there and you're able to request the transcript, as many as you need to send to the area colleges or the colleges that you're applying to. So make sure as soon as you submit the application, you follow up with a transcript request. They're usually sent out within a day or two. Mrs. Missy Pyle in our counseling office does that for us, but it can often take 3 weeks for the college to say that they have processed and received. So just because it says, still processing, chances are they may have received it. It just takes them some time on their end, and make sure you don't wait to the last minute because of that. Recommendation letters. Many of the colleges and scholarships that your students will be applying for will require some recommendation letters, whether it's a teacher, a counselor, some type of organization, volunteer kind of thing. So what we ask, especially from the counselor side, I am new to Mount Juliet High School. I may not know your student that well, but in order to write a good reflective letter, I'll need some information as well as the other counselors. So we ask that you provide a resume or a brag sheet. We have those available in the counseling office, and they will be online as well. And giving your counselors, your teachers, plenty of time to write. Coming up to a counselor or teacher the day that a recommendation letter is due is not a good plan. Give those people at least a week or two, if not more, to be able to compose a good letter for you. And that's where you list your clubs, activities, volunteer service, things that maybe we wouldn't know about you besides maybe what's on your transcript. FAFSA. We're going to mention the FAFSA a few times this evening, so I just wanted to make sure we're all clear about that. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. This application is required for Tennessee Promise and the Hope, along with lots of other state and national scholarship programs. The FAFSA will open October 1st. Okay, that's when this current senior class will have the opportunity to complete their FAFSA form. It must be completed by February 1st. It's important to know that we at Mount Juliet High School will have a FAFSA frenzy, which is kind of a workshop. We'll have in November, the date is still being worked out, where we'll have a workshop to help seniors and their families complete the FAFSA form. If this is your first time completing it, it can be very tedious and detailed, but it is so important, and so that's why we're taking the time to make sure you get the guidance for that. And that's where we lead into the Tennessee Promise. Hopefully you have heard about this pretty amazing scholarship opportunity that the seniors of Tennessee have an option. So I have the website here. Again, you can just Google Tennessee Promise. When you click, you'll see that it has right at the front tab the class of 2022 high school senior Tennessee Promise timeline. Okay, and every time you click on those, it'll give you, so it's laid out very clearly. So those of you that are keeping up with kind of a senior year schedule timeline there. So what the Tennessee Promise, now I'm just going to briefly go over it. Ms. Whitmire is going to go into a little bit more detail at the end, but essentially you get 2 years free of a community college or technical school in Tennessee. That starts right after your senior year of high school. So you get 2 years. You have to sign up by November 1st, which most of our seniors have worked on doing that. You have to complete the FAFSA by February 1st, complete 8 hours of community service starting this November. So there's a time stamp on that. And then you apply to your college or trade school, and then you attend a spring meeting. Those are the requirements right now, your senior year for the Tennessee Promise. We had, so the mandatory spring meeting will be announced after November 1st. They have not mentioned the exact date. They have said that meeting will be virtual and asynchronous, so you'll be able to participate at kind of your leisure. All right, so they completed, tell seniors during their focus, if they were in a focus class, second period on campus, Friday completed their Tennessee Promise application. The counselors are now going through each of our caseloads to make sure that every senior, we ask all Mount Juliet High School seniors whether or not they plan to use the Tennessee Promise, whether they know for 100% or 99% accuracy that they will be going to a 4-year school. We still ask them. You never know how times can change, and so we ask and require that our students fill out that form just as a backup plan, if not their primary plan. So they had to have their social security number, and we're going through in a checklist form and making sure that all of our seniors have completed that form. Hope and Lottery Scholarship, again, we're going to have a little bit more detail on this, but the requirements are one or the other, either a final GPA of 3.0 or a score of 21 on the ACT. The way you apply for the Hope, that Tennessee Lottery Scholarship, is by completing that FAFSA form. So parents call and I need the Hope Scholarship form. It's the FAFSA, okay? So that's why I mentioned the FAFSA at the beginning, because with Tennessee Promise and the Hope, that's key. And again, that's available October 1st, that you can begin submitting that form. All right, other scholarships. We talked about the Tennessee Promise, we talked about the Hope, but there are tons of other ways to find scholarship money. One way is on our school website. We have a database when you go onto the counseling page where it says scholarships, and you can see a list. It is revised weekly. Anytime we get new information that's sent to our office, we add it to that database. It's organized. You can organize it and see by date, by qualification, that kind of thing. Another thing that we encourage people to do is check the college or university they plan to attend. Click on their financial aid scholarship. Also, parent, guardian's place of employment might have some other opportunities. And then signed up for Remind. I'll have our Remind app contact in a moment. If we get something that's time sensitive, we'll send it out for you as well. Scholarship, they take time. It takes effort. So the more research time you put in, the chances are of more success. So that's where student time can take. So you can see right here, this is, I know it's not clear, the scholarship from our Mount Juliet High School counseling website, where that little arrow is where the scholarship tab is, and that's where the database would be that we update weekly with scholarships. And that's what it looks like, and you can see there's scrolling pages and pages of different scholarships, and you could peruse those. We put the newer ones, I put the newer ones at the bottom, so you can continually look and see. One other option that we do like to mention is the Tennessee Strong Act through the Army National Guard. They have a scholarship program as well, primarily as students, if they complete the basic training and maybe 1 weekend a month, often can pay for your total college bill. And so they've given us a list of those colleges and universities throughout our state that are connected to the Tennessee Strong Act, and it's a state tuition reimbursement program. And you can see right here, all of these are connected to that Army National Guard scholarship program. So if that's something, they will actually be on campus next week during all 3 lunches. So if your student is interested in learning more about the Strong Act, they'll be on campus soon. Tennessee Scholars. Students come by quite frequently and ask about Tennessee Scholars. It's not necessarily a scholarship per se immediately like Tennessee Promise or Hope. It's more of a recognition, something that is given recognition at graduation, but also could lead to scholarship opportunities. And here are the requirements: 2.0 GPA, 4 math classes, 95% attendance rate, no out-of-school suspensions, 80 hours of community service all throughout high school, and then any combination of 2 CTE, dual enrollment, AP, or fine arts. So that's something that we look at the end of the school year to see which students are Tennessee Scholars and receive that recognition at graduation. Selective Service is something that they like us to mention as well. So any male 18 or older needs to register with the Selective Service. You can see the website there. But failure to register makes you ineligible sometimes, often for loans, federal loans, Pell Grants, that kind of thing. So it's something that you want to remember if that applies to you. Graduating with honors. So we talked about Tennessee Scholars. So there's another designation that you can have at graduation. The date has not been set yet officially for our graduation, but in order to graduate with honors, Mount Juliet High School, you have to meet the benchmarks on the ACT of these. So at the end of the year, the counselors will check to see if your student has met these benchmarks on the ACT, and they will be given the distinction of graduating with honors. In addition to graduating with honors, you can graduate with distinction, and that's a little bit different, so I wanted to show the requirements there. You can see it is a 3.0 grade point average plus one of the following. So as you're looking at this list, you'll ask yourself, okay, have I completed one of the following? And that's national or state recognized industry certification, governor's school program, all-state music, national merit or semi-finalist, an ACT composite score of 31, so the composite score of 31 or higher, or a 3 or better score on 2 AP tests. And then, or you could have a minimum of 12 college credits, so dual enrollment college credits. That would make you eligible to graduate with distinction, and all those are recognized at our commencement. So, and you can have, you can get both. Obviously, the requirements are different, but you can graduate with honors and distinction here at Mount Juliet High School. Okay, we are going to be meeting individually with our seniors in their focus blocks soon, but we don't want you to wait. If you've got a question, seniors, and we've encouraged this last week, to reach out to your counselor. Don't wait. You don't want the deadlines to stick up. Check with your counselors. Again, we'll have those individual meetings, but we don't want students to wait. It's important that everybody's timeline might not be the same as your best friend. You're probably going in different paths, and so you don't want to rely on what they're doing. You got to make sure that you're following what your goals are. The Remind, the Connected, so if you are not on receiving the messages from the counseling office for your senior, you want to make sure you are, that you text at MJH 2022 to that number 81010. And that way, if we get scholarships, we have deadlines, meetings, that sort of thing, you're getting the information that you need. And that and all, if you have students in other graduating classes, all of that information is on our website too, which Remind app to enter. Yes?
The MJH next correction.
Okay.
Now has to be capitalized.
Oh, okay.
Those are the old ones.
Okay.
Now the new ones.
So the MJH just needs to be capitalized.
Yes.
Okay. I'll make that adjustment on the. Okay, we are inviting college representatives to come back on our campus, which has been a nice addition. They come during our lunch periods, all 3 lunches, and set up in the backside of the cafeteria at the tables. So we've had Tennessee Tech came yesterday. Tomorrow we have the Honors College at Western Kentucky. They'll be set up. We have Cumberland coming, UT Chattanooga, the University of Alabama, and University of Memphis. And we update that, and we put those on the Remind and on our website, Facebook, as they are scheduled. And that's a great way to get basic questions answered, get a connection, that sort of thing. So those representatives are available for our seniors or any student to talk with. And then here are just some important dates. We've thrown a lot of information. This is tape, but we completed the Tennessee Promise. If your senior did not, we'll want to encourage them to do that. If they were out or they're in dual enrollment, we're going to try to work to make sure we get all of our seniors the Tennessee Promise. We have the meeting today. Next week is College Application Week. I truly encourage you to take advantage of this time to sit down one-on-one with a college representative if any of those schools are of interest to you. October 5th, or FAFSA will be ready October 1st. October 5th, we'll have our ACT on campus. In November, we'll have our FAFSA Frenzy. And then ongoing, we're applying for college, we're applying for colleges and scholarships. So those are just some kind of important dates, the big buzz dates. All righty. Miss Whitmire has gotten some new information about, for some of our TSAC information, so she's going to give us a little bit more, and then we'll answer questions. Ms. Barlow, will you?
Okay, this whole thing is also on this PowerPoint, so this whole presentation, you'll be able to have access as well. My understanding, the TSAC representative could not be here tonight, so they sent me their PowerPoint. I'm going to go through parts of it because it's a lot of information, and so hopefully you'll continue to ask us questions as well to see what we can do on that part. But the first thing is to understand what that financial aid is, because she mentioned earlier about the FAFSA frenzy, that free financial system that we need to go through. Every single student who applies to a school must complete a FAFSA. Okay, it is to determine eligibility for their scholarships, for their for any other financial aid, whether it's free or not. But that's the only way you can be considered for it. It's the only way to get the money for Tennessee Promise, and the only way to get the money for Hope Scholarship that she mentioned earlier. So like she said earlier, just to understand that financial aid is that opportunity, that money that is given to the student. This was just a real quick scenario to just give you an idea of how much it costs per year to attend any of our schools here in Tennessee. Again, this is estimated. So just to kind of give you an idea so that when I kind of go through some numbers, you're going to see how much it may end up costing everybody along the way. Click it 2 more times, I think. There we go. So these are the different types of financial aid that I was mentioned just a moment ago, just so you understand this part of it. Obviously, scholarships, that's free money. The colleges have different types of scholarships. Some of them are academic. Some of them are based on many different things. So that's why it's really important when you apply to a school that you check their scholarship page to see what they need to do. Some of them are automatic as soon as they apply. They are put in a pool for scholarships. Other of them you have to apply to. So you just have to check their school, each school's website under their scholarship page. Grants, again, are free money, and grants, again, are determined based on need basis. So again, that's the reason why you need to complete the FAFSA, is so we can look at for need basis for money. Obviously, loans is money that you borrow that you have to return. And then the last one is work study. And just so you all understand the work study program, one of the questions on the FAFSA is if a student is interested in doing work study. I will tell you, my daughter did it her freshman and sophomore year because she qualified then, but she didn't qualify after that, after her brother left. I was only paying for one student instead of two. But it was really nice. She was able to find a job on campus, so it was campus hours. It was just a nice extra paycheck to help pay for some of the things that she had. So just work study is really not that bad. They get decent pay, but it's nice because it's during school campus hours, so it's mostly Monday through Fridays, and so it gives you opportunity. So I just wanted to throw that in there real quick. Like I said, these are the different types of financial aid. Obviously, like I mentioned, through the colleges, through the state. The state would be our Tennessee Promise, as well as our Hope Scholarship, federal aid, and then private. So that's the website that we've asked you to go to about different scholarships that we come across. Those are those private scholarships. So she mentioned about certain things and certain deadlines. So again, this is all on her PowerPoint that will be uploaded. But we already talked about we're taking the ACT in October, applying for colleges. Guys, a lot of the colleges have November 1 deadlines in order to be eligible for scholarships. So that's something else to think about when you're applying to schools, that November 1 deadline is important in terms of getting your applications in. You could still probably apply for scholarships, but that November 1 deadline is for applying to the school. The FAFSA, like she said, it opens up October 1st. I've reached out to them. I'm waiting to hear back. We're hoping for either November 9th or 11th. And what the FAFSA frenzy is that's the opportunity. We have representatives that come into our building and help you complete your FAFSA, especially those that have never done it before. It just helps walk you through it, and they'll give you information. Basically, you've got to have your tax return. There's a portion that the student has to fill out, and there's a portion that the parent has to fill out as well. So that opportunity will be available in November, but it will open up October 1st. So starting October 1st, just make sure you're getting the correct FAFSA. This is where a lot of mistakes get made. There is a free website and there is not a free website. So make sure that you are on the right one. And I think it's on here. But then the other thing is to make sure that it is completed by February 1st. But some schools may say earlier. I'm just going to throw that one out there. February 1st, I do know is for Tennessee Promise, but some other schools may have earlier deadlines to get your FAFSA completed. Let's see. Again, that's another thing that we just talked about, why it's important to complete your FAFSA. All right, so this is real quickly, this is pretty much tells you what the process is that you have to go through and the information that you need. The very first time you do this, I will tell you, it takes a little bit of time. It's not horrible, but it does take a little bit of time that very first time, and then you have to do it every year they are in school. So it's not just a one and done. You have to do it every year while they're in college. But I promise you, after the first one, it goes a whole lot faster. That's just going to tell you how different scholarships and how to get the different scholarships, which we talked about the HOPE, that they have to have a 21 or a 3.0 GPA. That 3.0, again, is that unweighted GPA. That means without all the extra points for honors and AP and state dual credit, dual enrollment, all that. It's just the standard. A is 4, B is 3, C is 2. So it's your unweighted GPA. Something that was not mentioned earlier, two different things that are mentioned up here that were not mentioned beforehand because it's not as much, but there is additional money. This is from the state, is the Aspire and the GAMS. The GAMS is based on their ACT score and their unweighted GPA. So there's additional money. So a lot of students, they say that it's $4,000. Basically HOPE works out to about $16,000 over 4 years. It's $3,500 the first two and $4,500 the last two. But that's for GAMS, if you qualify for GAMS with that 29 ACT. Again, this is automatic, but again, you've got to fill out your FAFSA. It's an extra $1,000 a year during your 4 years. So instead of getting out of the HOPE scholarship only getting $16,000 over 4 years, you get 20. So again, every little bit helps. That talks about that right there. Those of you that want to go to TCAT, to do a trade school. That's going to use the Tennessee Promise, but then there's also other additional money that can help you with that as well. So I think they just threw that one in there. Community colleges, that's going to use your, so you can actually use both Tennessee Promise as well as Hope. But Hope is, if you transfer after 2 years, then you will continue with your Hope your junior and senior year. The Tennessee Promise checklist, which we said we had everybody apply, and I think that's about it. I don't know what this page is that he has. Okay, these are other additional scholarships, and they can be found on that TSAC website. We had our students apply for the Tennessee Promise. So these are additional ones that they can find on the TSAC website if they've not done. The Ned McWhirter is based on their ACT scores and need-based 31. Wasn't it a 31 on their ACT? I think they have to have a 31 on their ACT for the Ned McWhirter. That one opens up usually in December or January for them to be able to apply on that. And I think that may be it. Yep. So like I said, this will be on there, so you can use that barcode to be able to get information directly from TSAC's website. So again, this will be attached to the PowerPoint that we just went through and that you'll be able to see on our website tomorrow. So at this point, I know that we are open for any questions that you all may have. I know we threw a ton of information to you in a very short period of time. Anybody with questions? Yes, ma'am.
Did they change the 80 hours of community service? Did they make that smaller because of COVID? I know they talked about it because there were less opportunities for that to be done.
I need a good question. So the question was whether or not the 80 hours of community service has changed. So at this point, we need to double check that, Ms. Grossman, because I know they lowered it last year because of COVID, but I don't know if they've lowered it for this year's class. But we will check on that. Other questions? Yes. The question was about graduation. That would be a Ms. Sharp question. I know that the principals are just working on that, and so that would be a central office decision as to when they set those. And so as soon as they're set, we will inform everybody. But I'm pretty sure it'll be that last week of May, like that last week of school. I think that was the plan, but don't quote me on that. Other questions? Back in the back. On October 5th, the ACT, the students will take the ACT at the very beginning of the day. So they will come to school at 8:45 like they normally would. They'll go directly to their test sites. And as soon as they are done, are they allowed to leave like they did in the spring? So they should be able to leave as soon as they're done. Yes?
How are the recommendation letters sent to colleges?
The question was about recommendation letters. How are they sent? It depends on the situation. Some students will come to us that they need a recommendation because they're applying for a scholarship. So we'll write them and then put them in a sealed envelope so that they can send it. Others, if they're applying through Common App, is a big one. And so through Common App, we upload it into Common App. Other question? Just. Yes, ma'am. The remind code for the seniors should be all capitals NJH 2022. So it's at NJH 2022. Next question. Yes, sir. It's going to be posted on Mount Juliet. The question was about the PowerPoint. It will be posted on Mount Juliet High School's website along with the video that is being done tonight. So, yes, ma'am.
On the portion about the TSAC, what is EFC?
Okay, the question was about on the TSAC about what EFC stands for. If I remember, it's eligible financial contribution or something to that effect. It's a number that they calculate based on when you complete your FAFSA, your income, and determines They determine how much money you could afford based on your income and everything else that you've got going on. Yes, ma'am.
I did receive an email about the application and tried to open that sign-up form, but it would not give me access because I don't have a Gmail account and my senior did not get it.
Okay, so the question was about getting the email about that list of schools that were offering.
No, the sign-up form for application week next week, to sign up to sit in different colleges.
Okay.
And my senior did not get it in the Google Classroom.
Okay, I will, so if it didn't come through the Google Classroom, I need to double check that to make sure, because I thought I posted it on Google Classroom. But I will double check that on that part. Thank you, that's a good question.
Well, actually, let me clarify, she thought I couldn't open it either, I guess, I'm sorry.
So you got the email, but you could not open the document to be able to sign up? Okay. So we will look into that to see why that's not opening. But thank you for that question, because I will have to, the person that created it will have to pull it up and see what's happening. Yes, ma'am. Okay, the question was about whether is there a disadvantage to using the Common App than to go directly to the school's website. I don't say that it's a disadvantage. I think one of the advantages of Common App is that you only have to fill in all your information once, and then then whatever schools use Common App, you fill out their applications on that website. So that's an advantage I see to Common App. Send EDU is another one, that's another common one, but it's on their school website as to what they use. Some of them use Common App, some of them do not. Does that answer your question? Okay. Other questions? Okay, well, I appreciate you all coming in, and I know all of us counselors appreciate you all coming in tonight and hearing the information. I know, like I said, it's very overwhelming. We might be here for a few minutes if you have some questions, and have a great evening.